Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Zach Shomler. I am joined by my dad, Stephen Shomler. Hello.
Good evening.
Maybe. Who knows when they're listening to it?
We left out good evening.
Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. Includes whatever time of day it could possibly be for. It could be the morning, could be the afternoon, or whatever it is for you is also evening.
Fair enough.
I don't know. This is the Flawed Humans podcast. We called it that. I called it that because I wanted to just... It's kind of like an out, actually, straight up. If we say something, it makes people mad. Look, we're stupid. We're dumb idiots. We say dumb stuff all the time. We're not perfect. And it just right off the bat kind of derails and disarms that whole... Because we are. We're not perfect.
It diffuses it.
Yes.
So you're a flawed human. I'm just old.
We will get into that. Oh, my gosh. I want to talk today about Cincinnati. We went on this trip. But first, we have to... I guess you want to introduce who we are, because I guess... in my head, I forget that some people may not literally know who I am and may not literally know who you are. I don't know how they got to this video or this podcast if they don't.
Because some of your fans went from Strong Opinion Sports to the Zach Shomler YouTube channel or to the Zach, whatever this podcast is going to be. If you're going to make it a podcast, put it on iTunes. And they don't know who I am. And some of my fans won't know. They know you're my son, but they won't know more than that.
So introduce yourself. Who are you?
I am Stephen the Magnificent.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm Stephen Shomler, and professionally I do two things. I'm a culinary storyteller, and I own Spark to Bonfire. As a culinary storyteller, I write books. I do podcasts. I have the Craft Beer Podcast and the Culinary Treasure Podcast, and I have a show, the Culinary Treasure Show, and you can subscribe on YouTube to the Culinary Treasure Show. On the Spark to Bonfire side, I help people with life change, building brands and building businesses. And I'm so excited the Stephen Shomler YouTube channel now has 21 subscribers, and the Spark to Bonfire channel has 3 subscribers.
Oh my gosh. Your background is a little bit different than mine. I think that I'm incredibly lucky because people literally pay you to meet with you. And as your son, I just get all access. I get whatever I want all the time. It's pretty great.
Do you want me to tell people who I think you are?
Yeah, sure. You can introduce me. How about that? That makes me feel better.
Okay, good. Yeah, you are Zach Shomler. You're amazing and awesome. You are the creator and host of Strong Opinion Sports, which is both a podcast and a YouTube channel. And yesterday when I checked, you had 116,000 subscribers. Today, whoa, you've got 117,000 subscribers as of the date of this filming. Who knows when this will come out, but it'll probably be even more than that. And you've done very, very well building a brand. I said that I own Spark to Bonfire. I help people build brands and businesses and grow them. I helped you grow your brand. You're one of my clients.
It's pretty funny. No, if anyone ever doesn't trust what my dad says, they should, because I literally did everything he told me to do, and I made it, and it worked.
I did a little tiny bit. You worked your ass off incredibly hard. You put in lots and lots of effort. As I've done a little bit of research on successful YouTubers, usually you hit a tipping point when you get over 1,000 videos. And when you think about it, if you put out 1,000 videos, people are like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? They aren't willing to put in that kind of work. And you're at about 1,500 videos now. And it held true. You got to about 1,000 videos, a little more than 1,000 videos was when things really took off for you.
Yeah. But to work for 2 years and make 1,000 videos before it feels like anybody really notices is a lot. And that's, I think, I know someone who came up to me recently and said they want to start a YouTube channel. They said, Zach, I'm looking to have another source of revenue in my life. I think a YouTube channel is what I'm going to do. And I just was like, this guy's going to fail. Because you should not look at YouTube as a source of revenue. It's a thing you enjoy and you love doing. And if you get to make money doing it, great. And I'm lucky. It's my professional. That's what I do. That's how I make money.
You're not lucky, and it was your intention to build a brand so that you could have a business.
Well, that was your goal. I'm very fortunate and very grateful. But I did it because I loved it. I made no money for 2 years and just kept doing it out of passion. I think that's how you make it. You shouldn't do it with the intent of... Does that make sense? Like,
no, I disagree.
If your only goal is to make money, it's wrong. Does that make sense? Because you don't stay up all night. I don't sleep all the time because I love doing it. And I don't think you put that much effort into it unless you're willing to and really love what you're doing. Does that make sense?
When I teach people to build a brand, you have to love your topic.
Yeah.
And then the other thing you have to love is the process of your creation. If you're going to be a writer, you don't learn to love writing, you're screwed. If you're going to be a YouTuber and you don't learn to love editing videos, you're screwed. You have to love your topic. Sure. You love sports.
Yeah.
You're heavy NFL, but not completely. You love NFL, and you love the process of making videos. The other night, I was editing a Spark to Bonfire video, and it was midnight, and I kept working, and at 3 in the morning, like, I have to go to bed. I have to get up at 8 o'clock because I had an appointment I had to make. And I'm like, I can't believe what's happened. Zach has gotten in my head. I'm overcome by the spirit of Zach because I loved editing these videos. And that was a big change for me because editing videos used to be a really, really hard thing for me to learn. But I actually love editing videos now. So you have to love the process and you have to love your topic. And it's okay if those things are true to do it with the goal of making money. But you're right. You are right. If that's the only reason you do it, you'll never make it.
It can be a goal, and it's important to have that as a goal. But if it's your only goal, if money's the only goal you have on YouTube, I think that's wrong.
And you don't enjoy enjoy your topic.
Yes, I think you have to enjoy the process. Let's talk about Cincinnati. There was something we had this whole list of like 9 or 10 things to talk about. But the number one thing on the list that I want to talk about that you, I think, also ironically had on yours as number one is I'm going to let you lead into it because I think you know how to say it better. But I totally agreed with it. Take us ahead.
Well, this wisdom comes from my sweetheart, Karen. And I'm really excited. There's rumor that you might do a podcast with her. I'm really excited about.
Yeah. How wild would that be if I had a podcast with both my dad and my stepmom? A separate podcast. I think it'd be really fun. It makes me happy. I would love that.
I think it'd be great. So Karen is very, very wise.
Yeah.
And she says, you particularly if you're in a long-term relationship, you want to make sure that you can travel with someone.
Yeah.
And how do they? Because in traveling, you have problems, you have difficulties.
Things go wrong.
You have curveballs,
Yeah.
and you have to be able to adapt. And if you can travel with someone and go on a 3, 4, 5 day, 7 day trip, no problem. Mike, I've got goosebumps around thinking about this. I haven't told you the story yet, but we were stuffing Strong Opinion sports shirts. Now I've got my Shirts for Your People hat on. We are part of a company, Shirts for Your People.
Yeah.
If you are building a brand or building a business, we have got, you guessed it, Shirts for Your People.
Tangent real quick, by the way. Everyone asks, how do you make shirts? I hated every option, so we made our own company, basically.
Yep, and T-Shirt Dave is the CEO and the principal of that company.
He's the man.
Go to the website and contact T-Shirt Dave. Don't ask me for a quote on T-shirts, but he'll get you the shirts. But I'm stuffing shirts. Our first big client was Strong Opinion Sports, and we were stuffing shirts, and we're talking, and he shared that one of his favorite place on the planet to go to is Disneyland. And
Dave said that?
Dave said
to
that.
you?
To me. And we both said at the same time, This is the happiest place on earth. And we were both shocked. And I knew, so we set some goals. We're going to grow this company and eventually we'll go on some trips. But I said, I want you and I, as a reward, as we grow this company next 3 or 4 years, you and I to take a trip to Disneyland. And he and I would have so much fun. And I just know in my gut that traveling with Dave would be a joy. He'd roll with the punches. He wouldn't be uptight. We'd have a plan, but not stuck to it too much. And it's a really big deal.
Yeah.
To be able to travel with someone. And so, okay, you took a long trip with your dad to Cincinnati, and we had challenges. What was it like?
I think the most telling thing, though, was we got back into Portland on Monday. And on Tuesday morning, we were hanging out again. And we're having a good time. I went and picked up a couch because someone gave me a couch. Thank goodness I finally, after living here for a month and a half, got a couch in my living room. I can sit down and watch stuff. But we had a good time moving this stupid couch, this heavy thing, and you're old.
You're an
old man, so your body's all falling apart. And then we went to Goodwill and we got a TV stand and we were making fun of the mugs and people. We just had a good time.
Yep.
And it was very telling to me when you left and drove home. I was like, we went on a long trip together to Cincinnati. We were exhausted. We were tired. And then the day after we get back, we were still able to hang out, and it was pleasant. It wasn't, we got to get through this. It was we just hung out and had a good time.
So before you move in with someone or get engaged to them or get married to them, take a 5-7 day trip with them and make sure that you guys can roll together.
Well, it's because it's so important to be able to roll with the punches. If something goes wrong or isn't quite right. I think on Saturday night, you really wanted to go get steak. Correct?
No, Sunday night.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
Sunday after the game.
Yeah, after the game.
I totally ignored you. We went and got Skyline Chili because that's what I wanted. And you were fine and you were happy and there was no problem.
Yep. But we had obstacles, on the way to the airport. We're going to record podcasts, and you're going to co-host podcasts with me.
Yep.
I'm going to record.
For your shows.
Yeah, for my shows. I'm going to shoot footage for the Culinary Treasure Show. And about 2 hours before I leave, I get a
2
text.
hours before leaving Portland to go to Cincinnati.
Well, leaving my home to go to the airport.
Yep.
I get a text from the airline saying, hey, your leaving flight's been delayed.
Yep.
You're going to miss your connecting flight. So I call, and we can get you to Cincinnati, not Friday night, but Saturday night. And if we got there Saturday night, I miss all the appointments I had set up. So I talked to the lady at the airline. She's super nice. She says, you might make it, but your luggage won't make it. So now I have to unpack all of my recording equipment and filming equipment, 2 different kinds of equipment, stuff it in my carry-on and my little bag. I've got 1 T-shirt rolled up. And I'll tell you, that was stressful for me. And we got to the airport, and I'm stressed, and I'm worried, will all my electronics...
You were like,
yeah, all my electronics, would they get through security? Because I don't know, it's just weird and worried. And
yeah.
And
it's different. It's not a normal thing you take through security. We were like, what is this weird dildo-looking thing. It's a microphone, and they're like, "What is this? And what is that?" And it looks like is that a bomb? No, it's actually just a audio interface. You know, it looks weird.
But it was stressful. But good news, all the stuff got through. We made our connecting flight with 5 minutes to spare.
We did.
And I have no idea how, but my luggage made it when we got to Cincinnati.
Praise God if he's real.
But you were kind with me through that.
Yeah.
And then Sunday morning, we're headed to the game.
Yes.
And you had a kerfuffle.
I couldn't find the ticket we needed for the game. Like I know I bought tickets.
And you couldn't find your wallet.
So I left my wallet in the room. But before, part of the reason why I left my wallet in the room though is I was so distracted trying to find the tickets for the game. And I was like, I know I bought tickets. I'm not crazy. I'm searching through emails. I'm like, we didn't fly to Cincinnati without tickets to the stupid football game. The reason we're here is to watch the Patriots and the Bengals. How did this happen? And I finally found them, but I was stressed and anxious. And then we leave the hotel room and we're on the bus, and I realized I don't have my stupid wallet on me. I'm like, this is all bad. We might not even get allowed into the stadium. And so there was a moment where leaving, you were stressed and I was kind. And then when it flipped, I was horribly stressed and you were kind to me, and we just balanced each other out through this whole trip.
But some couples or some friends end up triggering each other.
Yeah.
And that leads to escalating conflict.
Yeah.
And that's just, if that's your life and that's the kind of relationship you have, man, don't do it.
If it just compounds each other and they just get worse, it's bad. It's all bad. So it's huge, man. You got to travel. I think it's a good rule of thumb just for life. If you can't travel with your friends, maybe they're not. Like here's my whole thing. I have a very small amount of friends. I don't want a lot of friends, and I'd rather have really close relationships that I build on. I'm an introvert. I have like 6 really close friends, and that's it. And if you're not adding to my life, or you're not someone I really want to invest in, I'm sorry. I have other people I would much rather hang out with than someone who pulls me back or drags me down. And I think it's maybe, for me, it's not like the only rule, but it's a good rule of thumb. If you can't travel with your friends, there's something that's off or something that's not quite right there.
Zach mentioned he's an introvert. I discovered a while back, I started reading a book called Quiet.
Yeah.
And I was dating my sweetheart at the time, dating Karen at the time. And I didn't discover till later that I got the book. I got her a copy of the book, and it was that right. She was then realizing she's an introvert as well. She didn't quite have that language.
Yeah.
And she's grateful I got the book Quiet. And it's a phenomenal book. And it has facts in it that I always knew. The big thing about being an introvert is where you get your energy. Do you get your energy from being around people, or do you get recharge from solitude? That's very simple version.
Yeah.
And I knew that definition, but I didn't know really that I was an introvert. And the more I read the book, the more horrified. It was almost like shameful that I'm an introvert. Something's wrong with me.
Well, people always, I think, feel like it's a bad thing to be an introvert.
Right.
They're like, oh, no, it's bad. It's wrong. My ex-girlfriend felt that way. She couldn't.
Yep.
She thought it was shameful.
And actually now I know it's better. It's better to be an introvert than an extrovert. I feel sorry for you extroverts, really. I'm just kidding.
People are exhausting.
So I called your brother Zeke, and I said,
Yeah.
"Hey Zeke, I got to come out of the closet to you." And Zeke thought that was funny, because Zeke used to call me a bear, and there's I was not.
There's
not
a whole
bear.
back. We'll explain Zeke someday.
Yeah, but Zeke, okay, well, obviously, Dad, you're not really coming out of the closet, so what's going on? I said, well, I need to confess to you, I'm actually really an introvert. And without missing a beat, says, oh, Dad, you're fucked. And I said, why am I fucked? That's the last thing I expected.
I can hear it as, oh, Dad, you're fucked. I can hear his voice, too.
It's like, that's the last thing I expected. Why do you say that? Because you're an introvert who loves people, and they're going to exhaust you. And that's completely true.
Zeke said that?
Zeke said that.
He's so wise. Oh,
Yeah,
my gosh.
and
How did we get lucky with it? He's he's my little brother and your son. How did we get him? I don't know.
Amazing genes.
Oh, my God. Get out of
Yeah,
here.
baby. High test sperm. Okay, but that's when you said you're an introvert. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Is that where you get your energy?
Well, I think you can be. I'm great with people. Girls out there, if you want to take someone to a Christmas party, I'm great at that. I can talk to anybody. I'm really good in a crowd of people, but it exhausts me. It makes me really tired.
Yep.
So you just know if I'm going to go out and be at a party with people, I'm not going to feel recharged. I'm going to be exhausted. And I have to go home and the next day probably be alone and play video games or watch football or work on my show.
So why are you great with people?
People skills. I mean, it's something you taught me my whole life. That I think I don't know how you would agree, if you would agree with this or not, but I think it's really important that the way you treat people always is kind of a representation. It's like a working resume. It's
Yep.
really important. If you can't work with people and talk to people, it's just a huge red flag.
Well, and I think it's how you treat people, and then how you treat them also is how you think of them. Because you can look down on people and still try to treat them nicely, but that'll come across as inauthentic. You think well of people and you treat them nice, so there's those core values of who you
Yeah.
are. That impacts your ability to connect with people. But then also you learned people skills. And I just bring that up because if someone's watching this video and they're like, I I don't do well with people. That's a skill you can learn.
You can develop it and
you
get
can
it better.
develop it, and it takes time. But I would encourage you to read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a fantastic book.
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yep, it won't teach you how to have deep, authentic relationships. It'll teach you really stupid, basic people skills that if you don't have them, you won't be able to connect with people. It has a chapter on smiling. I get told all the time by people that I have a beautiful smile. You know, a lot of good things come out of life because of my smile, but there was a time in my 20s when I had a boss made me take down a photo I had of in my office because he said I look like a gangster. He actually said, "You look like a goddamn gangster. You're not smiling." I had to take the photo down.
Because you were like
Yeah,
sullen looking at the camera.
And he says, if you don't learn to smile, I'm going to fire you. And this was my early 20s. And I remembered I first read How to Win Friends and Influence People when I was 16. I remember the chapter. So I read the chapter and it says, stand in the mirror and smile. And it felt so awkward and so terrible. But I had to literally practice smiling until I could get it nailed down.
You ever want to look and feel like the Joker? Just smile at yourself for like 5 minutes. And you're like, this is terrifying. There's a psychopath in there.
Well, that's a different issue. But you can learn to smile,
Yeah,
and
you
can
can.
learn those basic people skills. You know, remembering people's names, saying thank you, and that is an incredible foundation to having good people skills.
It's really telling the way someone treats a janitor or a server. We were talking about that earlier, and it's important to me. I went on a date one time, and the young woman I was on a date with was so rude to the server, so mean. And I was like, you don't treat him like a decent human. There's a different level of decency here. And it was a total turn off. I said, I'm not going to go on a second date with this girl because of the way she treated our server. And by the way, the server screwed up. He wasn't right, but she was just so unkind and so mean to him. It's like, it's kind of like the way a person treats a dog. If a person's really mean to a dog, I go, that's what you're capable of. That's kind of scary. And so the way you treat people really matters, and it's a representation of who you are. And if you see yourself as, I'm better than that janitor, or I'm better than that server, or that bartender, you're just wrong. That's just not how the world works. And everybody has value no matter what color you are, no matter what gender you are, any of that crap. You have human blood going through your skin, you matter. And so that's what I mean. I don't know how we got there earlier, but I was on the cusp of saying that the way you treat servers and the people like that, or a guy at the box office at a movie theater, if you're not nice to them, it's really telling.
The way we got there is because you have good people skills, you learn good people skills, and you value people.
Yeah.
And those two things inform how you connect with others. Okay, so Cincinnati.
Oh my gosh. I am so in love with the city of Cincinnati. And it's funny because who would have thought? Like, we're from the West Coast. I've lived in Los Angeles. I've lived in Seattle, the Seattle area. I lived in Portland. I've been all over the West Coast. I've been a little bit down south. I did not expect to like Cincinnati at all.
So it's not on any list. I get these emails, the best places to move to,
yeah.
Best places to work, best places to retire to. I don't think I've ever seen Cincinnati on those
Not
lists.
once.
So has Cincinnati changed a lot in the past 3 years?
They will tell you that. I like how you set me up. They will. Everybody. We met the first 15 or 16 people we ran into in Cincinnati. We had a lot of conversation with locals. We went and interviewed people in their restaurants and yada yada.
Yep.
And everybody from the guy working as a janitor to the person up front making stuff to whatever it was, everybody we ran into said, "Oh, our city has come a long way in the last 3 years."
Yeah, we heard a lot, and they were proud of it. And I heard a lot, like our city's changed a lot in the past 3 years, and they spoke with pride about their
better.
city.
We like it. We're proud of it.
Yeah.
And what's cool is actually, a lot of the time people would say they'd say that they did a good job making the city better. They did a good job, and I'm like, what does that mean? No one was willing to take credit, but then the woman who kept saying, yeah, they made the city better, was like, here's a map. And she made a circle on the map and said, you want to go to this spot, this spot, this spot. And she just showed me how to navigate her city because she was proud of it. I'm like, no, it's not they, it's you. You, the person who are telling me the story and helping me through this, you're the person that made the city better. And it's like the whole city of Cincinnati collectively agreed, we're going to make this better. And the people made it a better place.
Yeah, every person we ran into was proud of their city and very nice and very helpful. It was kind of surreal. I thought this can't continue, but like 30 people in, they're all nice, they're all helpful, they're proud of their city. It was impressive.
What the heck? How are they so kind? I just thought it was weird. And there's a moment where we were trying to find a Starbucks because you needed coffee because you're an old man. And we're walking around.
It's jet fuel.
And we're like clearly very lost. And this guy goes, oh, it's right over there. And just point us in the right direction. Totally unprompted. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, he
really.
said, hey, are you guys looking for something? Can I help you? And we're like, yes, we need Starbucks. You go, oh, yeah, right there.
And I had so many moments like that where people were, and
for the record, I tried to find local coffee shops downtown, and they were all closed.
Yes.
And so it's like, okay, I tried to drink local first. There was no option. So then I was like, okay, at least somewhere down here's got to be a Starbucks that's open.
I have a thing, decision fatigue, I really struggle with, because my job is I write all day for Strong Opinion Sports. That's what I do.
You decide what you're going to talk about.
Yes.
You decide what you're going to say.
A lot of decisions. And so, like, even for the show, about to record the podcast this morning, I was like, what do I wear on this podcast? On my Strong Opinion Sports show, I wear the same shirt every single episode. I'm like, I have no idea what to wear today on this show, and it drives me nuts.
It's a short drive.
You're not wrong. And I regularly have, I like this thing. This is my favorite meal. How do I explain this in a better way that makes sense? When I'm not sure what I want, I like having a pre-built answer already built. So like, if I'm listening to Harry Styles' album recently, it's really fun. I really like it. If I'm not in the mood for Harry Styles, I need something to listen to, and I don't want to have to try to figure out what it is. My go-to is always John Bellion. When I have decision fatigue, it's my go-to. When I have decision fatigue, I'm not sure what to drink. I drink, there's a certain type of kombucha that I love. That's my go-to. I have a certain shirt I wear. I wear Strong Opinion Sports shirts everywhere. And my favorite meal for a long time growing up was this meal where you made spaghetti, chili, and cheese. And I got made fun of it for years. And I found out that in Cincinnati, they have Skyline Chili, which is their like city meal, spaghetti, chili, and cheese. And I'm like, oh, I love it. And now I know if I ever move to Cincinnati, and if I ever have decision fatigue, I'm like, I'm hungry. I have no idea what to eat. Decision's already made. It's Skyline Chili, and that brings me so much joy. Like, I could move there and have a built-in answer for everything, including restaurant options. That makes me so happy.
So you loved Cincinnati?
Yes.
What did you love about it?
Oh man, it was the people. The food was great. Skyline Chili was amazing. I really liked how cheap it was. I was blown away at like the housing market. Like, because my income comes from the internet, so I can literally live anywhere in the world. And it's
anywhere that you have a good
enough internet
high-speed internet.
Anywhere with a high-speed internet. And so I looked at Cincinnati. I was like, it's really cheap. The people are nice. The food is good. The weather's not that bad. It's actually pretty moderate. I was surprised how it's really cold today, and it's no colder in Cincinnati than it was today in Portland. I'm like, who would have thought? It's farther south than I realized. It's not on a lake. It does snow there, but the snow is not 5 feet a year. It's about a foot a year. It's way more reasonable. I'm like, man, it just felt like me. And then the people
You like the downtown?
I love downtown. The people there's a bit of it's blue collar though, and I like that. Like
the downtown looks cool and looks neat. And when we drove out to a couple different suburbs on our adventures, that all looked kind of interesting. The streets were kind of clean. I love, it's on the river.
I went to Portland on Monday night when we landed. I went walking around with my friend, and we were like, it's so dirty here. Like, oh my gosh. And Cincinnati is not dirty at all. I don't know what's going on there, but there's literally, we went all over the city. It's just not dirty. There's just not trash on the street.
Yep. And I just liked how it was laid out. You had Paul Brown Stadium, and then you had a little bit of distance right on the river, really beautiful, nice downtown. You go a little bit down farther, you've got Reds, where the Reds play.
Yep.
Cincinnati Reds for baseball, and that was right. It was really beautiful and iconic.
And here's what's interesting about the way Cincinnati's laid out. There's the river that divides Kentucky and Ohio. And right on the river, you have downtown, like pushed up against the river. And directly on the river, you have where the Reds play and where the Bengals play, Paul Brown Stadium, and whatever the name of the Red Stadium is. If you cross a bridge 6 minutes away...
Great American Ballpark.
There you go.
Boom!
Hey! So you can go farther into Ohio, from downtown, right on the water. You can go farther into Cincinnati to the suburbs, where it's more expensive than other places to live. And then if you go across the river... So about the suburbs of Cincinnati are about 25 minutes away, deeper into Ohio from downtown.
Yep.
About 6 minutes away from downtown Cincinnati, across the river in Kentucky, is incredibly cheap, like really great place to live, Covington, Kentucky. And I'm like blown away. I'm like, the logic doesn't make sense because you're closer to downtown, but I guess there's a stigma against Kentucky. I have no idea. But if I move there, I'm going to move to Covington, Kentucky. I'm going to move to Kentucky and live basically in Cincinnati. It's very bizarre to me. Who would have thought that?
It's like Vancouver and Portland.
Yes.
For those who know Portland, you got Portland, Oregon. You've got the Columbia River, and right across the way is the bedroom community of Vancouver.
Yep.
And while there's a lot of people that live in Vancouver that literally have never been to Portland and are proud of it, there's lots of people that live and work, in one sense, in Portland, but they sleep at night in their houses, in their homes, in their apartments in Vancouver across the river.
But there's still a difference though, because in Portland you're not closer to downtown by living in Vancouver. You're literally closer to the stuff downtown if you live in Kentucky than if you live in a suburb of farther in Ohio.
You cross the bridge from Vancouver into Portland, and you still have to go a ways to get to downtown.
Yes, whereas downtown is literally the first thing you run into if you go into Ohio from Kentucky.
So you love how it looked.
Yeah.
You loved how it was situated.
Yep.
You loved the people.
Yep.
It seemed to be really cheap. Everything seemed to be cheap.
Oh my gosh, can I tell the story about the raspberries?
You should.
We're at Kroger. Kroger's what they call their grocery stores in Ohio. The same place, Kroger, is called Fred Meyer. It's Kroger owned in Portland. And they have there's a certain type of raspberries. I won't say their name because why, but they were $6 for a little 3-inch tub of raspberries in Portland. $6 for that tub of raspberries. In Ohio, that looks exactly the same, nothing different, same name, everything. The exact same tub of raspberries is $1.25.
And they were really good raspberries.
I was like,
when you showed me the box and said you got 2 of them, I thought, wow, he spent a lot of money. You go, they were $2.50. I go, a piece. You go, no, total. They were $1.25 each. And then I thought, well, then those got to be bad raspberries.
And they were amazing.
They were amazing.
And then we went out to drink. We got 3 drinks. It was $13 total.
Yeah,
good drinks.
A shot and 2 beers. I mean, it was
everything was cheap. And maybe I have no idea what. If the Midwest perspective is concerned, like that's not cheap, but come to Portland and then everything must feel expensive because it's just a different. I was like, wow, like my money's going to go so much farther in Ohio.
So we talked about why you loved Cincinnati.
Yep.
So you're talking currently, things could change,
yep.
But right now we are December 2019 on the cusp of 2020,
yep.
And you're thinking you might late next year, might move to Cincinnati. Why would you move to Cincinnati?
I want to be clear on the timeline too. I really like the idea of going in August, right before football season starts. I'd go there, take a week off of work, move all my stuff over there. That would work for me. To go there and be there. The reason why I want to move there is
in August because September through January is your tax season.
Yes,
because you do sports all year long, but
yep.
you heavy on NFL, and the NFL plays September, October, November, December, January.
And he means tax season. Like if you're an accountant. April is your tough time of year. Your family better understand.
January, February, March, April's your tough time of year.
If you're an accountant, there's a time of year if you're an accountant where your family needs to understand this is my busy time of the year. For me, Zach Shomler, doing Strong Opinion Sports, people in my life and in my family need to understand September to about February 1st when the Super Bowl is, that's the busiest, heaviest, most crucial time of the year for me.
Yeah, and so if it's that time of year and you're dating Zach, please do not bother him on Saturdays when he's watching college football or Sundays when you watch NFL or heaven forbid Monday night football. Go on a date with him Tuesday, Wednesday night, but don't bother him on Monday nights.
Yeah, there's
Come on
football
now.
like 4 nights a week, and I gotta watch them. I gotta watch games.
Because that's literally how you get paid.
Yes.
It's not that you're trying to be unkind.
No, I literally get paid to watch. It's my job to watch football.
So you'd move in August so that you're all settled when tax season hits, metaphorically.
When the football season starts, I want to be ready to go, have everything set up and organized.
Okay, so that's when, but why? Why would you move to Cincinnati?
It's so cool. It's a central point that I had no idea it would be. It's 4 hours from Pittsburgh. It's 4 hours from Detroit. It's 4 hours from Chicago. It's an hour and a half from Indianapolis. It's an hour and a half from
Louisville.
An hour and a half from Lexington, Kentucky, where Kentucky basketball plays. My point is that the Chicago Bears are 4 hours away. The Chicago Cubs are 4 hours away. The Indianapolis Colts are 4 hours away. The Pacers are 4 hours away. Columbus, Ohio State is an hour and a half. Kentucky basketball is an hour and a half. Indiana, the Hoosiers, Bloomington, Indiana is an hour and a half away. Nashville, Tennessee is within driving distance. That's the Titans. That's a ton of concerts. I could not believe, and there's of course there are things I'm leaving out by accident too. There's other stuff in that area. It's a central point to so many.
How far away is Ohio State football?
Hour and a half. Michigan football. I can go to Michigan, Ohio State, either location, and it's within 4 hours or an hour and a half. Blows my mind.
So you do sports.
Yes.
And you would love to go to a Michigan Ohio State game.
Yeah.
Just for the spectacle.
Just to see it.
Yeah, and you'd love to go to a game in Louisville and see,
I want to see Louisville basketball. I want to see Kentucky basketball, Indiana basketball. It just sounds fun.
You want to go to Chicago, you want to go to Soldier Field and see a Bears game.
I want to take you. I want to go to see the Bears play the Packers.
And that's only, Packers is only, 7 hours away.
Yeah.
So you're not as close to the Eastern Seaboard.
No.
But a lot of those iconic Midwestern teams, you could live in Cincinnati, drive there, see the game, and come home.
Absolutely. And what's crazy is if I lived in Pittsburgh, it's not. Pittsburgh is 4 hours away from Cincinnati, but it's 8 hours away from Chicago. It's 8 hours from, right? Cincinnati is somehow this middle ground between all these places that if I lived in any of the other ones, it wouldn't be quite the same central point.
So if someone's like, why would Zach move away? Well, first, I think it's fun to go on an adventure. Highly encourage that.
Absolutely.
And you've kind of been like, should I move to Bozeman? Should I move to Boise?
My
Should
heart's
I move
been, I've wanted to move for a while.
for an
go
adventure.
on an adventure.
Yeah, and so if you go to Cincinnati, if that's where you end up going, it's a cool place you liked geographically.
Yeah.
And it's centrally located all these fun sports things you could do. And even if you're only there 2 years, imagine 2 years of amazing sports fun adventures.
Oh my gosh.
How cool
Now's
is that?
the time in my life to do it too. I don't have kids. I'm not in a relationship. Now's my time to go on an adventure and see a little bit of the world. And of course, that's how I want to do it, is to go see Ohio State basketball, Ohio State football, Michigan. I can watch Michigan basketball. I can go watch, oh my gosh, the Colts live, the Tennessee Titans. Go see a concert in Tennessee and Nashville. Like, that sounds incredible.
Because you like concerts.
I do. I
And
love
lots of good concerts go to Nashville.
If you're an artist and you're planning your tour, every single artist, you have access. If in Nashville, you have access to see whatever concert you want, because literally every single artist on their way through America, everybody makes a stop in Nashville, Tennessee. Not everybody stops in Portland. Not everybody stops in Cincinnati. But the one central location everybody chooses on their way on a tour across America is Nashville, Tennessee. So I could see literally any concert I want within an hour. It's an hour and a half away. Like, are you kidding me? I drive to Seattle for concerts, and that's 2 hours away. And the fact that people there
it's
were
2 hours away if you're lucky and you're driving in the middle of the night.
Yes, which I usually do. But a lot of people responded to my comment from the Midwest, like, 4 hours away isn't driving distance. They don't understand that it's 13 hours from Portland, where we're sitting, to San Francisco. I've driven to Los Angeles from Portland. It's 18 hours. I drove the whole 18, didn't stop. I mean, there's nothing within driving distance that same way there is here compared to there. It just blew my mind.
Yeah, so you have one NFL team that you could drive to from Portland, about 4 hours away, given traffic in Seattle.
Yep.
The next closest NFL team is what, 13, 14 hours away?
San Francisco 49ers, which are, 13 hours away.
Yeah,
Whereas
whereas
really, on a good day, it's probably 15 because you got to get to Santa Clara.
right, and then from there, if you want to get the next closest one, I mean,
There's just not. I mean,
It's
you
a
better
long
love
ways.
college football because you're going to watch the Oregon Ducks live if you want to see anything. And honestly, I know a lot of people. I've been to Pac-12 Network. I have a ton of contacts in the Pac-12. Nothing against them, but I'm tired of the Pac-12. It'd be so cool to go see Michigan football. The Big Ten is awesome and has more historic, rich, incredible, talented football teams. I'd rather see that live. That sounds cooler to me.
but here you can go to one NFL game really practically. There, you could go to like a whole 5, 6 different NFL teams.
In the same year,
Yeah.
very easily.
Okay, so that's why you might move to Cincinnati.
I think in August, what I would do, I'm going to move there in August. This is my plan right now. Is in August, I'm going to create a roadmap and say I'm going to this game on this weekend, this game on this Pittsburgh, Chicago, Detroit, Indianapolis, Tennessee, Cincinnati for a game. Just have a home game maybe. I'll stay at home in my hometown for a game. But to go to like 6 NFL games next year, and I'm at location on site, sounds really fun. And I can meet fans. I can do all kinds of stuff. And
develop new contacts.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And I already have some new contacts with the Cincinnati Bengals, which is pretty cool. And they're going to hate what I have to say about their franchise. But it's okay. I have contacts on the West Coast. I'd rather build some contacts now on the East Coast and in the Midwest. And that sounds really fun and enjoyable to me.
Okay, GPS.
Oh, my gosh. There was a moment. It's really funny. I think before we get into that, there's a story to lead us there.
Yep.
We're leaving Paul Brown Stadium. We're leaving the Bengals-Patriots game. And it's literally like a 15-minute walk from the stadium to our hotel. It's across the bridge, down a street, bam, you're at the hotel we were staying at.
And you can walk across the Roebling Bridge.
There's a big bridge in the middle of Cincinnati, and you can walk across it to get to Kentucky and then go back to where I was going, our hotel room. And we're about halfway up to the start of the bridge. And you were just losing it. You couldn't make it. It's too high for you.
Heights. Yeah, I don't like heights.
You're like, your hands on a railing. You're like stepping very slow. You literally look like an old man about to die. I was like, are you?
I can't stand heights. Oh, man.
And so I left you.
Well, I left you. I said, hey, go ahead. I'll find my way back.
And I'm glad
I wanted you to walk across I didn't want you to miss the bridge. I wanted to walk across the bridge, but I would have died halfway out there. Particularly when you told me what it was like when you got out there.
Yeah, so you got on the bridge, and on your left, there's river. And on your right, there's also river. You're not actually connected to the place where the cars drive. You're on your own little suspended thing.
Little suspended walkway looking down.
Like 3 feet
river?
wide
Oh
with 3
my
feet
gosh.
high railings. And yeah, you would have literally passed out probably. I imagine falling off the edge, plunk, you're just out cold in the water, and then you die. And
Exactly.
Bye, Stephen Shomler.
But I didn't want you to miss it, so I said, hey, you head off, and I'll find my way across the river all by myself.
And I somehow I missed that because I felt like, well, I was like, well, whatever. I want to experience this. So I walked across the bridge, and then I get across the bridge, and I'm like, I left my dad alone. My old man dad in Cincinnati. We were about to pass out, and I felt horribly guilty suddenly. And then I was like, well, like,
if he dies, he dies.
I was like, well, I mean, he'll make it. I hope, I guess. I mean, well, let's hope so. And I felt like 3 hours later, you roll into the hotel room. And I'm like, where the hell did you go? Like, how did it take that long to get back? Because I walked very quickly. It took me like 15 minutes to get back to our place. And I was like, where the hell did you go for? Like, what took you so long? And it led us to this conversation about, really the truth is that got my mind turning about GPS and how there's different ways to get to certain places. You took a very different route back to the hotel than I took.
Yep.
And then that morning we're leaving for the plane.
Next morning.
The next morning we're about to get on the plane, and a man comes up with a phone saying, hey man, I'm trying to get to this location like 2 hours away. I have no idea where it is. And we help him.
He says, what town is this?
Yeah, he had no idea where he was.
This big semi-truck, this guy comes walking out of it with a phone saying, what town is this? We're like, this is Covington, Kentucky. And he goes, where's like Libertyville or something?
Yeah, he had no idea where he was. He didn't know where he was going. Well, he knew where he needed to go, but didn't know how to get there.
But he ended up where he was because that's where the GPS told him to go.
Yes. And so we got him help. We got him headed off in the right direction towards where he was going.
Yeah, he's 2 hours away. He needed to keep going north or south into Kentucky.
Yes. And so you and I got talking. We're like, you said, this is why I hate GPS. And it was so interesting to me because it led us down this path of basically the point is that what matters is the destination where you're headed. It doesn't matter how you get there. And a lot of people blindly listen to the GPS and go, oh, I turn left, and they just turn left into a lake. Or
well, it happens a lot. Yeah, Google. People turn left into lakes all the time with GPS, and it drives me nuts. I at least look at the blue dot and make sure that where it's taking me is where I want to go.
Well,
I don't just blindly follow.
People just blindly follow the directions. They do. The metaphor for life here is that they do what everyone tells them to do. They want to get to this location, and instead of doing any, like stepping back a little bit and seeing, does their path make sense and does it all work for them? They just kind of blindly trust that they're doing the right thing because it's what everyone else tells them to do. And there's many ways to get there, and what matters is not how you get to the location. I'm going to make an example. I'm an analogy. It's I don't really care. It's going to share my personal life a little bit. I'm on a date with a girl the other day, and I have slept with a lot of people. I've been around a little bit. I've dated a lot, and she hadn't. She dated a lot, but she hadn't slept around. She hadn't hooked up. That wasn't her experience, and it wasn't what she wanted. But we both arrived to the same desire that we want serious relationships. But we had very different paths to get there, and that's okay. You don't need to have the same experience other people do. You know, she went to college in Vancouver rather than going to Pullman, Washington to Washington State. And people are all the time like, well, you're missing out on the parties and this and that. And she's like, I don't want the parties. I don't want that. And it's okay to have a different experience than other people and to have the point is, did you get to the spot you're trying to go? And on YouTube especially, all the time people say, Zach, you need to do this and this and this and this and all this, frankly, bullshit that I don't care about, unnecessary crap. And all that mattered to me on YouTube was make good content and it'll grow. It'll work. And it did. And so the point is there's multiple ways to get to the thing you desire and your goal. And you don't have to do what everybody else tells you to do.
Well, even worse for me, for a lot of people, they follow the directions they're given, and they're not even thinking about where they want to go and whether or not those directions will get there. For example, do you want to have a fulfilling career that pays you the kind of income you want? A lot of people don't have that as a goal, so they just follow the directions they're given. They end up with a job they don't like, in a career that's not fulfilling, not getting paid what they want, because they never even figured out where they want to go, let alone will the directions actually get me there.
My biggest problem with college, that I would run into people all the time at school, and people would say, college is where you go to figure out what you want to do. And I really struggle with that because I always knew what I wanted to do, and I felt like college is in the way, and most people were at school paying thousands and thousands of dollars, drinking and partying with no idea what to do next. And a lot of my friends have graduated college and are fucked. They have no resume, they have no job experience. I'm actually more successful in a better spot, even though I don't have a degree, and I feel kind of weird about not having a degree. But I have a resume, I have experience, I've worked a lot, and they went aimlessly through college because that's what everyone told them to do. And some of the people I know that went to college shouldn't have, or they should have figured out what they wanted to do, then gone to school. Most people, when they graduate high school especially, go straight to college, and sometimes it's better to take a gap year and just work at a coffee shop or at a car wash and figure out what you want.
Why are parents afraid of a gap year after high school?
Because it fears you won't go back.
And why is it important for the average person in North America to have a college degree?
because it gives you options. It opens more doors.
And it makes you be able to provide, put you in a position to most likely, no guarantee, but most likely provide better for your family financially if you have a college degree.
Let's be very honest. I don't have a degree. Me, Zach Shomler. And I think I'm going to be okay. I have a broadcasting career. I get a lot of job offers from Fox Sports and CBS and all kinds of places. I'm going to be fine. But if my career as a broadcaster ever falls apart, I don't have a backup plan. I don't have another option. I'm going to have to go back to college to open up more doors. And if someone has a degree, people in college, when you go to college, people lie to you. They say, you're going to get a job because of your degree. Bullshit. It's not true. But what it does is get you in the door to job interviews. All the other stuff you do at school. So you're at school, you have 4 years. You have 4 years to build a resume, to get work experience. I never jived with the partying scene. It wasn't me. So I said, I'm going to work on strong opinion sports instead. If you're in school, you have 4 years, an opportunity to build a resume and have work experience. And when you get out, have life experience and the knowledge and the skills to win an interview. And then in that interview, you can get the job. All the degree does is get you the job interview. It doesn't necessarily get you the job. And that's the number one lie they tell you going into college as an 18-year-old senior in high school.
I just want to make it clear. I think it's very important if you're a young person, get a stinking college degree. I don't care what the degree is in. Doesn't matter what the degree is in. And then you graduate with your degree, and then you can find out what you want to do. And it may be in a different field. That's A-okay. You had a degree. You can get an interview to get an entry-level job in that field.
Yeah.
Whereas depending on the field, some places you won't get the interview if you don't have the degree.
And a lot of my friends are getting out of school, and they're all frustrated. I keep getting rejected from jobs. Again, the degree doesn't get you the job. It gets you the interview.
Yep.
And then it's on you to get that. It's on you in the interview to win the interview and get the job. But you won't even get the interview if you don't have the degree. And the degree is important because it gets you a seat at the table.
Sleeping in the airport?
Oh my gosh. I like you're just firing them off. I was exhausted. We get into Minneapolis Airport.
This is Monday morning.
Yeah, Monday morning.
Friday morning, we left for Cincinnati. We're in Cincinnati. We got there late Friday night. We're there Saturday, Sunday. We were busy. But then one-legged men in fanny kicking contests. It was incredible. And we went to bed at 11:30 roughly on Sunday night.
Yep.
And we're up at 4:30 leaving for the airport.
And I
on
didn't
Monday.
sleep well. We had these pillows behind us that were like way too big and thick.
They had pillows like they were this big.
Like I can't lay my head because my head is at an angle, like tilted, looking straight up down at my stomach. I'm like,
and
this
they
is
had
wrong.
each of us had like 9 pillows on our beds. It's like, what is up with this?
I
These
just want a
9
thin
giant
pillow.
pillows.
Like I don't even sleep with a pillow because I hate pillows so much, and it was
So
I
Monday
couldn't get
night
comfortable.
at 4:30, Monday morning at 4:30, we left for the airport.
Yeah.
We get on a plane. We fly to Minnesota. We have a 3-hour layover in Minnesota. Then we're gonna get to fly home. It was a 9-hour trip home.
I'm sitting there. Here's what happened. Really, you're stupid. God, I'm sitting there, and I get woken up by a notification on my phone. Steven Shomler has tagged you in an Instagram story, and I look. And there's a video of me sleeping on his story, and I wake up, and the moose has been. I wake up to this, right? I wake up to a text, and there's a moose that's been carefully sat on my chest. And I look, and there's a picture of me sleeping with a moose
Can
looking
you put
right
the
at the
picture
camera.
up on the screen if I send it to you?
Yeah, I can find
so
it
people
somewhere.
can see all three. I did far away, then a close up, and then a loving curated picture of just the moose.
And what I should have done is I should have quoted on my story and said a rare picture of me sleeping because I never sleep. Because I don't. I straight up have a hard time sleeping all the time, and I'm so neurotic and busy, and my mind is going, and I just can't rest. It's hard for me.
So not today. Someday we'll have to let people in on the story of the mooses because I had 3. Now you have 1 of them. I have 2. And there's a story for the mooses, but we'll leave that for another day.
A fan sent me another moose, by the way. I have a fan that sent me a Strong Opinion Sports moose with a little sweatshirt that says SOS and then Shomler on the back. I'm like, what the heck? This is amazing. The world we live in is so wild. I think that's a great way to lead us into the next part, which is in Ohio, in Cincinnati. I met a lot of people that were fans of Strong Opinion Sports. It happened multiple times where people are like, you're Zach Shomler. I recognize you from the internet, or I like your videos. And it's not a new thing. It's happened to me a lot in the last, roughly the last year, where I run into people that go, you're Zach Shomler, or you make videos, or this or that. And I've never known how to respond.
And it feels awkward.
Yeah, I think it's very easy for that to mess with your head because you have to be very secure in who you are. Because if you're not proud of your work or you're not sure, if you're not confident, if people are telling you, I love you, you're awesome, and you're like, I'm not, like you don't feel worthy of the praise. But then there's another edge to it too where you also can't let it go to your head. you can't be like, oh, yeah, you better like my work. I'm better than you. There's a weird middle ground there.
There's a ditch on either side of the road.
And you don't want to be in either one.
And the road's not very narrow.
The road's not very wide. The road is very narrow.
Yeah, exactly.
You're trying with the metaphor. And there's a fine line there you have to walk, is maybe how we'll put it. And I've had to deal with that. How to learn, when people come up to you and like your work, you have to have a game plan. And not in like a strategic way, just you'd better know how to deal with that. And I learned on this trip, for the first time, I finally understand what to do when people come up to me and say, I love your work. And all you can do, because it's honest, is just say thank you.
Yeah, it was fun at the stadium. You had two different people who saw on Instagram that Zach Shomler's here at the stadium in Paul Brown Stadium, and they wanted to come and say hi to you. And to me, it was so precious. They wanted to say hi to you, and they were nervous and they were excited, and I was excited to take their pictures. And I'm glad you've come to peace with what to say when those people they're excited to be around you.
I've always felt it's like an unnecessary stress. Am I supposed to be like? Because on the show, I'm very proud. I'm witty and I have things to say, and in person, I'm just who I am. And I'm like, am I supposed to ask them like a pithy question or tell them a little story? Or if I don't have something prepared, I'm not recording at that moment. Who am I supposed to be when I meet people? Just gracious, just grateful and happy to meet them. And it actually was a great relief. Now going forward the rest of my life, whenever I meet people who like Strong Opinion Sports or are fans of the show, I know what to do. Just say, hey man, thank you. I'm in Cincinnati because you watch my videos and that pays me money. I'm very grateful for everything that happens, and I'm grateful for the life I get to live and the fact that I get to make a show, and that's because of you watching or listening, and that just means the world to me. And that's all I need to say. I mean, I don't need to put on a performance.
Well, and you're speaking a topic near and dear to my heart, because when I meet with people, I say, "Oh man, it's so awesome! You can start building some content. We're going to help you put out content. I'll help you harness the power of social media and leverage the power of storytelling, and then you'll build a brand, and you'll have fans. And then we'll care for their fans. You'll care for your fans, and then they hang their heads. They're like, "Oh, I can't have fans." And what do you mean you can't have fans? Because they can't have fans. And so a while ago, I did teaching where I said, no, it's okay to have fans. And I told people there's nothing wrong with having fans. And I did teaching, I have a video up, whatisafan.com. And a fan is someone, if you're thinking, what the heck, what's Zach? It's got fans. Everybody, yes, you have fans. First, if you're going to succeed at anything, having a restaurant, having a dive bar, having a brewery, being an attorney, being a plumber, you got to have fans. You have to have fans.
Because there has to be word out there that, hey, the product I'm selling is good.
Yes. And so first you have to have fans. Second, it's okay to have fans. But what is a fan? A fan is someone who they like your thing. They like how you do your thing or your take on your thing, and then they like you. When someone likes all three, they become a fan, and they want to help you, and they want to follow your journey.
There's nothing wrong with them. I think there was a while where I was daunted. I was like, oh no, it's like fans are great. They like you. They want you to do good. They're happy to cheer you on. I mean, I've never met a fan who says, screw you, I hate you. It just never happened to me yet.
Yeah, those people aren't the fans.
People exist. Those people exist, but they don't come talk to me in person.
Yeah.
No one's going to go out of their way. It's never happened to me yet that someone's gone out of their way to say, screw you, I hate you. They'd say it on the internet, but that person isn't come seeking me out in Cincinnati.
Yeah. And this having a fan thing is really, really important. I recently started the Spark to Bonfire channel to put out my life change teaching, and I'm going to be putting together a resource. You can build your brand, the 13 doable steps I use, the things I taught you to build your brand, the things I did to build my brand. And then I realized, I have to put together this fan stuff so people kind of can get their heads around it. So YouCanHaveFans.com is the resource I'm putting together. I've got 10 videos in the works. Thank you for laying the groundwork for me to realize, okay, I can do videos. Big breakthrough for me that happened this fall, and you were a big part of it, you and my sweetheart Karen. But it's an important topic that people, like you said, you don't want to not care for them. You don't want to think that you're too good. Of course I have fans. That's not good. And so there's a lot of ways to screw up. It's an important topic.
It just goes back to, and it has to be honest. I don't think it works if you're not honest, genuine, but I'm just genuinely grateful. And I got to do a better job, I think, saying it on a Strong Opinion Sports every episode. I hope it's clear, man. I love what I do, and I'm so grateful that you guys watch because it allows me to have my dream life. I mean, I'm so happy, and I love doing what I'm doing, and it's because people watch Strong Opinion Sports.
Northern Row Brewing.
Oh, my gosh. I just finished preparing my segment about the Cincinnati Bengals.
For Strong Opinion Sports.
Yes, for Strong Opinion Sports. And it's so fun to compare the way the Cincinnati Bengals are run to the way this brewery is run. We met one of my favorite groups of people I've ever met. I've gone on so many adventures. I've probably met thousands of brewers in my adventures with you, if not at least hundreds of brewers and breweries that run breweries and make beer. And this is one of my favorite groups of people I've ever met, from the ownership to the people brewing to the guy, the salesman who does sales for the brewery. The people just moved me. Their beer was incredible. And I want to just have a conversation about how well they're run and everything they do.
So a little background. You earlier this year, you got our tickets and our trip set up.
Yeah.
And you were just in a hurry to get it done, and you were thinking that Saturday you'd have to watch college football games.
Yeah.
So you wanted to fly in Friday. You're going to be in your room watching college football games, and then Sunday we'll go into the game, the NFL game.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, I'm going to head out, man. If I'm in Cincinnati, I'm going to do.
If I'm there on Saturday.
Yeah, if I'm there on Saturday, I'm going to do podcasts. I'm going to do episodes of the Craft Beer Podcast. I'm going to do episodes of the Culinary Treasure Podcast. Heck, I want to film some footage for the Culinary Treasure Show, a new show I'm doing. I'm going to maximize this. So I set up some different appointments with us on the culinary side and on the beer side. And, looking for breweries, I found what I thought would be a pretty cool brewery, Northern Row Brewing. So as time comes, it turns out, there's really only one major football game happening that Saturday because everything ended the week before. So you're like, you'll go with me. So you went out with me on the adventure. So our third culinary stop of the day was actually a beer stop, and we go to Northern Row Brewing. They've been brewing beer for about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Their tap room is going to open hopefully January
End of
2020,
January, roughly.
maybe February 2020, and the public can finally go to the tap room and drink their beer. And that's so we filmed with them. We recorded a podcast with them.
We were the first media ever to talk to them, right?
Yeah, ever to film there. Yep. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll get to the people in a second, but what did you think of the space of the tap room?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm just saying that a lot. Oh my gosh. It was just, you walk in and there's wood everywhere. And can I tell you the story of the wood that can tell them?
Yeah.
The owner is passionate about woodworking and
David
passionate
Berger.
about, yes, and he's good with metal. And he took, the floor where the brewing space happens, where they brew the beer. You can't have a wood floor, so they tore up the floor in that area. And they're like, well, we have all this wood, though, from the old floor. And they repurposed all of it. And the reason why you can't have wood floor where you brew is because, if you don't know, beer spills when you brew beer.
Well, they use a lot of water, and water gets on the floor.
Yes, and so you couldn't have a wood floor. So that wood they had a bunch of wood, and they repurposed it for the tables and the shades they used to cover the windows.
Yeah, these cool rolling shutters that are just
beautiful.
amazing. Huge rolling
on metal
shutters.
that he made. And there's the tables are made of wood, but then the foundations and the frames for the table are old rail cars that came from cranes that he took the wood and the metal and repurposed for that. It's the most beautiful. I'm going to go on a limb and just be bold with it. It's the most beautiful tap room I've ever seen. It's just an incredible art. It's art.
Yeah, I'm excited. Once I get that footage out and that show comes out, I'll provide you a link so you can add it later. This will come out before that does, so you can add a link to the comments because it is, or to the first, however you guys do it, that special YouTube thing. But
Pin the
it's
comment.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Okay, how about the beer?
Oh man, I'm not a beer guy. I don't. Tell the story about.
Oh my God,
21.
beer guy! You're not an alcohol guy. Oh my goodness, I love to drink. I love alcohol.
It's part of your brand, literally.
Yeah, I love wine. I love cocktails. I love martinis. I love beer. It's all good. Bring on the alcohol. You turned 21 last year, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Oh, I'm working. I got to make videos. I get too busy to go have any alcohol. So it was like 5 weeks later when we're in Bozeman, Montana for Bozeman Craft Beer Week that I finally got to take you out for your first beer ever. You'd been 21 for like 6 weeks.
And then later, man, there was a day where we were in Bandon, Oregon. It's stormy outside. We're having Chinese food, and you're like, Zach, you want to drink? I'm like, nah, I'm good. And the bartender makes fun of me, so she got me to drink. I can't even remember what I drank.
She made you a Shirley Temple with vodka. I felt so sad for you. But that's okay. We tease. Yes. I tease that I bully you to drink alcohol. I don't really bully you, but it's kind of a funny thing. We're at the bar, the bartender's kind of like they expect you to drink and maybe not me because I'm old now.
And it's always the opposite. I'm like, can I get a water and a juice?
But you'll have something, but you generally don't finish it, and beer's not your thing.
I rarely find a beer that I find worth drinking the entire thing
that you love.
Yeah, I'll sip a beer. Like when I go with my friends, I'll get a beer and I'll sip it. I never really finish it. It just doesn't. Beer rarely tastes. I drink for taste. I don't drink to get drunk. I'm never a drunk guy.
Yep.
It's not who I am. And I rarely find a beer that tastes good enough for me to go, I'm going to drink the whole thing. I had 5 beers that night. Like, drank the whole thing, and I wasn't drunk.
Not at all. Nope.
You and I both. I think these were in our blood.
But we were working. It was 5 beers over like 6 hours.
Yeah, true. But we also just handle beer really well, I think.
Yeah.
And they had a Helles beer, which is I want to describe it. I've been describing it to my friends this way. I would compare it to, and not the taste, but the way that vanilla ice cream is very there's not a lot in vanilla ice cream. There's no sprinkles. There's no cookie dough. There's no weird flavors. It's just vanilla.
It's very basic.
Very basic. Thank you. And you can't hide vanilla's problems with sprinkles and other crap. It's got to be good, well-made ice cream. Helles beer is the same way. It's very basic. There's not a lot of flavors. There's not a lot of hops. Not all this and that. You got to just be a really good brewer to make good Helles beer.
Yep.
It was phenomenal. I had 2 glasses and I loved it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. The Helles, that was an incredible Helles. And you generally don't like, I love the dark beer. I call them Christmas beers. 12% dark, chocolatey, roasty. Yeah. And you love what they call their export porter.
Yeah, if I ever drink, I drink a lighter, it's got to be like a citrus beer is usually what I drink. And I never drink all of it because I just need a lighter beer. And dark beer always rubs me the wrong way. It's never good to me. Oh, I had 2 glasses of their dark beer.
The porter.
Porter. It's dark. It tastes like, it was just smooth and perfect. And it was just so well made. I had the whole thing and I had 2 of them.
Yeah, and I was really impressed because, I go to a brewery and I try a lot of their beers, and there'll be 2 or 3 or 4 that stand out to me, and then the rest are kind of okay.
Yeah.
But I had a wit beer. I had the porter. I had the Helles. I had a hazy IPA. I had an IPA. I had a barley wine. And they were all good.
Phenomenal.
It's like, wow, there wasn't one that I didn't want more of, which was really impressive to me.
Yeah.
So the beer was good. Now, how about the people? So we met quite a bit of the people. We met the brewer. We met the guy that works in the brewery and runs the distillery. Brendan, who does sales and distribution. We met David, the owner, and we got to meet them. We got to visit with them. We got to film them, interview them. What was your sense?
Oh man, I think we met the head distiller and the head brewer, and both of them are incredibly talented, and they're great at what they do. And then before we get to the owner, I want to talk about, we met the sales guy. I have a friend of mine who sells cars.
Brendan Douglas. The Brendan
Douglas. He's the sales guy for Northern Row. But a side story is I know a guy from high school who sells used cars now. He's a salesman. And he's awful. He tells me stories of... He's smarmy. He sells cars that are busted to people, and he lies about them. And I hate what he does. I hate talking to him, but it wears me out because his life sounds awful to me. And he rips people off all the time. And he's just that typical guy, the schmoozer that can sell anything. And I've never liked hanging out with salesmen like that. It just never feels right to me because they just feel like liars. We met Brendan Douglas, who's the sales guy for Northern Row, and he's not that. He's not schmoozing you. He's not trying to, like, some guys are overly aggressively trying to sell you stuff. Brendan is just like, our beer's really good. And he knows he has a good product. And he doesn't have to lie about it. He can just be honest, and then he can work on building good relationships and being a nice guy. And it's rare you meet a salesman who's not that overly ambitious, like in-your-face, sleazy guy. And Brandon was the opposite. He was poised. He was calm. He wasn't talking quickly. He's just like, our product's really good, and you can taste it, and it'll speak for itself. And then he worried about just being friends with you and being nice and authentic. And I was so grateful that that's who we met. I was like, man, like, of all the sales guys I've ever met, you are the best and the most centered of anyone.
Well, I just want to throw a defense out to sales guys. There's lots of sales guys and sales gals that it's a noble profession.
Yeah.
And they aren't like your friend that sells used cars. So you'll meet more over time, but there are a lot of good people out there doing sales.
I think selling a product you believe in is awesome. I would have such a hard time selling a product I didn't believe in. I know people do it and they do it well, and for me, I could never do it. I just could never. If I didn't believe my product was awesome, I'd have a really hard time selling it.
So did you have a sense that those people working at the brewery liked their job and liked working at the brewery?
They loved it. They were passionate about it.
Did you have a sense they liked their boss, the owner?
Yeah. The example I made on Strong Opinion Sports, I talked about the Cincinnati Bengals are poorly run. They're about to draft a new player named Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow is going to be expected to turn around the franchise.
That's your guess. Your guess is they're going to draft Joe Burrow.
Yeah, what's going to happen? I mean, he's from Ohio. The point is that no matter how good Joe Burrow is...
the Bengals screw things up, so I hope...
Fair enough. I hope not, too. I hope for his sake I don't. But the point is they're going to bring in a really talented person, and it's not going to have a single impact on their franchise. It's not going to matter. Because if you have really talented people, and then you put handcuffs on them, and you don't let them be creative and free to do it their way and the way they think is right and follow their heart, it doesn't matter.
So what do good owners do?
The ownership at Northern Row Brewery said, we want to make German beers. So we're going to bring in brewers that make German beers. Great, they got a good fit. Then they made it clear, this is our expectation. I don't know what they are, but whatever our expectation is, this is what it is. They said that. They said it was important. They laid out the expectation. And then everything after that, they said, hey, brewers, go be creative. We'll give you the tools you need. You know what the expectations are. Go do it your way. They don't micromanage. They don't put handcuffs on them. They let these creative, incredible brewers do what they do, which is make beer best.
So good owners have set clear expectations and give you the resources you need to execute on those expectations.
And then they get out of the way. They just get out of the way. Don't get in the way of the people that are creators. You see this with movies all the time, or movie studios. The director has a great vision, and then the movie studio comes in and says, well, change this, change this, change this. And they screw up the movie. It's not quite as good. All the time you see ownership or management or people with finances really at the top screwing up the creative process. This did not happen here. The reason why every single one of those beers you tasted that were phenomenal was because he had good ownership who understands, hey, I'm whatever, is it David Berger?
Yep,
David Berger loves beer, and he knows beer pretty well. But he also trusts that, hey, the guy I hired to be my head brewer probably knows brewing a little better than I do. That's huge. It's so important. I'm going to go on a little tangent. The Cincinnati Bengals don't have a general manager, which is the person who picks the players. The owner does. And man,
the owner is the general manager, but it's not an official title for him.
The hubris of the owner to say, I'm the guy that picks the players because I know better than football people is so insane to me. It's like me starting a brewery tomorrow, me, Zach Shomler, and saying, I'm the head brewer, I get to pick how things are run, but I'm going to hire a guy to do the head brewing. I'm just going to have the title to myself and then micromanage the guy who does it. It doesn't work. The incredible brewers at Northern Row Brewery would not be as good if the ownership handcuffed them and got in their way. And so it's the most streamlined. It's just the best business I think I've been around in a long time where ownership gets it, the sales guy gets it, and then these incredible creative people that could succeed anywhere but succeed at the level they do because they're given the tools they need, the brewers. It's just everything about it is a well-run organization, and I love and admire a well-run organization.
So I love the people, I love the beer, I love the space. We got to go in this really cool elevator and go up on the roof, which is really awesome.
It's a 5-story building overlooking, it's at the end of Over the Rhine, which is a neighborhood in Cincinnati, and you can see the whole Cincinnati skyline at night from the top of their building.
It was pretty impressive.
It was awesome. Do you have anything to add? I feel like I talked way too much.
Oh, I think you did fine. What I will not be surprised that if you do move to Cincinnati, that one day a week next fall you will be hanging out at Northern Row Brewing, drinking a Hellas, doing your writing.
I'm going to bring my laptop. I'm going to plug in on the side. I'm going to have a Hellas next to me, and I'm going to drink and probably have whatever food they sell and do work there. It seems like a wonderful workspace.
All right, so I got to tell a little bit of the Skyline Chili story. So when I was a kid, I saw a picture of what Skyline Chili does, and I heard about it as a young kid. And
what is it? What do they do?
I'll get to that. So
Okay.
I didn't have the greatest childhood. I did most of my own cooking, and when I could get some noodles, and then I dump a can of chili on the noodles, and then a whole bunch of I take some cheddar cheese and you take it to a grater and grate it. That was, to me, the ultimate in comfort food. I love it to this day. Probably the number one comfort food I have would be chicken pot pie. I love me a chicken pot pie.
You like the cheap ones, too.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife's sweetheart, Karen and I, we love chicken pot pie. But then, like if she's out of town, I'm either going to have, if I'm not eating, my best life, I'm either going to have a BLT or I'm going to have chili and spaghetti and cheese. So growing up, I fed that to you. Comfort food. Hey, we're going to watch a game. It's going to be a fun game.
Duke basketball. We watched Duke Butler, Coach K. I remember those days. It was fun.
And so we might have a BLT. We might have some hot dogs, but on a bun with a little bit of, I put pork and beans on it, a little bit of mustard. But more often than not, we'd have spaghetti and chili and cheese. And you made the mistake of telling your friends that you did this.
Yeah, so on the
As a
West
kid.
Coast, in Portland, all my friends are, you're insane. Like your pregame meal is spaghetti, chili, and cheese. Your favorite meal is this, and people here could not understand. They're like, I've been getting crap and shit for this for years, like probably the last 5, 6, 7 years since I've ever started talking about it. They're like, you eat what? On spaghetti? Chili on spaghetti with cheese? That's wrong. Where's the red sauce? Where's this? And for me, it's my favorite meal. Like straight up, it's my favorite. If it's my go-to when if I'm tired after a football game, that's what I would drink growing up. It's my favorite thing, or eat growing up, I guess, is not drink. And we went to Cincinnati, and lo and behold, Skyline Chili does this exact thing.
So it was fun for me. I reached out to Skyline Chili.
Go ahead,
They've got about 100, the people like, what's Skyline Chili? They have about 135 stores, about 90 stores in the Cincinnati metro, and the rest of their stores are in Indiana and Kentucky and Florida. So they're a big deal in the Midwest, and everybody knows
particularly in Cincinnati.
Particularly in Cincinnati. And I was so excited when they said yes, that we could film with them, we could do a podcast with them, and to have you sitting in on the podcast, we did a Culinary Treasure podcast, and have you sitting in there and telling the guy that we're interviewing, about this whole journey. It was so much fun for me because that's their signature thing.
it was another moment, and maybe this is another reason why I want to move to Cincinnati. It was like, oh, I feel a kinship with all these people. If you go, there's 90 roughly in the Cincinnati greater area. So if you aren't, it's like the Starbucks in Seattle. It's everywhere. Every corner, every neighborhood seems to have one. If you want chili, you can always have Skyline Chili. And the fact that that's such a staple there and they accept it and they love it was like first time in my life I'm like, it's okay to like this? And it's phenomenal and it's cheap and it's easy. I can go get it. I was like, it blew my mind and I'd be so happy. I was like, oh, I can have Skyline Chili anytime I want, and it's okay, and it's acceptable.
So we're there at 8:30 on Saturday morning to film before they open, and they've got a cook there. They're very gracious, and we're filming, and we're eating Skyline Chili, and then we're all done, and then we're busy Saturday. We're busy Sunday. After the game, we get back to the hotel. You cross the bridge. I take my circuitous route. I get back to the hotel. We take a little bit of a nap, and you're like, oh, we want dinner. What do you want? I said, man, I just want a steak, steak and mashed potatoes and a glass of wine. And you wake up, I want Skyline Chili. So we walk down, right there in Covington, Kentucky is a Skyline Chili about 4 minutes from our hotel room. And you had Skyline Chili on Sunday night.
It was phenomenal. It always hits the spot. It's perfect. Actually, here's a question. I'm making Skyline Chili. I'm making, it's not Skyline Chili. It's not worthy of them. Yeah. It's got beans in it, which isn't how they make it. I'm making spaghetti, chili, and cheese tonight. Here's the big question. I know how to make spaghetti. Do you put the chili in the spaghetti and put it on? Is it on the burner with the chili also in the spaghetti, and you just mix it all up, or do you put the spaghetti on the plate and then put the chili on top of it?
What I usually do was mix it up together.
Yeah. In the same pan.
Pot, yeah.
In the pot, yeah. And same way you would with red sauce. You just mix it all up.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you don't overmix it because you don't want to crush the beans.
Yeah. But you just treat it like a spaghetti sauce.
Yep.
Perfect. That's what I'm going to do tonight. Because I'm making it tonight. I'm really excited. I'm going to have it for dinner.
And you scoop it out on your bowl, and then you put a bunch of cheddar cheese on it, and it's so perfect.
And I'm going to have friends over to eat it tonight, and they're going to understand and not give me crap. This is why it's so good. I had it. It's the real thing. In Cincinnati, they eat it. I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. Better enjoy my favorite food. If you don't, you're out. Get out of here. Mostly kidding. Mostly.
Okay, a couple more things before we bring this first episode of Flawed Human Podcast to a close. But one of the things that was really fun for me, my sweetheart and we love dive bars. Our first date ever was at a dive bar.
Yep.
And I was amazed by that date. It was incredible. It was September 13th, 2017. It was just fantastic.
That's your first date with Karen?
Yep. First date with Karen at a dive bar. And 8 days later, I bought PortlandDiveBars.com, thought I should start like a project on dive bars. And then 30 days after our first date, 1 day shy of our 1 month anniversary, went to another dive bar, had a significant date. And I thought, that's it. I'm going to do this Portland Dive Bars project with her. She loves dive bars, I love dive bars, and now we do PortlandDiveBars.com.
You go on adventures together.
And we write about it. She's a really good writer. She writes words. What did Zeke the other day tell me? Zeke been reading some of Karen's writings, and Zeke took my hand a couple months ago and said, Dad, and at first I thought it was a joke, are you going to be okay with someone being a better writer than you? Being with someone that's a better writer than you? And I thought Zeke was serious, like caring for my heart. It's like, wait a minute, I'm a published author twice over. What are you talking about? But I know that I'm an average writer, and I'm fine with that. It works. But Karen's a really good writer. So she writes the articles. I take the photos. We do these dive bar articles. We love it. We're talking to a publisher right now about doing a book about Portland dive bars. So it's fun.
Isn't part of the fun, though, also, just tangent, being with someone who you look up to and admire and respect, who's maybe better at you than you in some areas? Isn't that cool?
Yeah, and it's just fun. We just go. We have a great adventure. We both enjoy it. We have an adventure where we do it. It's just a blast. It really is. So I'm looking up dive bars, and I want to write about a dive bar, and I want to check out the dive bar scene in Cincinnati. And I find a dive bar in Cincinnati called Dive Bar. And I look at it, and I go, I'm not sure this is a dive bar. So Sunday night, after we have Cincinnati Chili, you're like, let's go right across the bridge into downtown.
I was inspired by Northern Row. I'm like, let's go get a beer.
Yep. You said, I want to go get a drink. We'll go across the bridge back into Cincinnati.
And it's snowing, by the way.
Yeah, it started
snow
snowing
out there.
It was
Like, it's cold. And you're like, a beer sounds great right now.
And I'm like, okay, well, where do you want to go? And you look up stuff and you go, hey, there's a place called Dive Bar. You look dive bars, let's go there. And I'm like, in my head, this is not a dive bar. But well, I'll give it a shot. You wanted to go, we went. So we headed off and we got there. And was that not a beautiful bar?
First of all, what was the street called? Like Vine Street?
Short Vine.
Short Vine. So we go in there. It's a beautiful little row of all kinds of businesses at night.
It's a little district. They got this cool oval arch, Short Vine.
It's right by the University of Cincinnati. They call it UC all the time. We go in there, and it's this beautiful bar. Beautiful, gorgeous, clean. The bartender was so nice. The beer was good. Like everything was good, but very clean.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it as a bar.
To be very, 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 very clear, you liked the bar. It's a great bar. I'm going to go back there.
Yep.
When I move there, that's a good place. Another place I'm going to frequent.
If I
is
lived
Dive
anywhere
Bar.
near there, I would. If I lived that near, that'd be my home bar. I'd go there, have a beer.
It's a
it'd
great
be great.
bar.
Yep. But it's not a freaking dive bar. We met the owner, and I'm telling him, hey, I love this place, but what's up with naming a dive bar? Because this is not a dive bar. And you're looking at me like I've lost my mind.
Well,
and I'm saying,
you keep saying, it doesn't smell bad. It's clean. The seats are
aren't
nice.
The seats aren't torn up.
And me and the bartender are like making fun of you, like, he's crazy. Like, I get that you want a dive bar, and I guess that's not a dive bar to you, but like, why do you want that? Why do you want the messed up seats and the bad smell?
Yes, because it's a whole. That's what a dive bar is.
It's a hole in the wall.
Hey, go to whatisaddivebar.com and read the article that Karen and I wrote. We tell you what a dive bar is. There's just something special about a dive bar. And you thought we were nuts, but eventually.
So Becca, the bartender, goes, well, there's a place down the street. It smells bad and has messed up seats.
Daniel's
you'd
Pub.
like that.
Daniel's Pub. So we
and you by the way, she goes, it'll smell bad, and you're like, oh, goody, like you're all excited. I'm like, you want the bad smell? That sounds horrifying.
And I'm
to
like,
me.
Daniel's Pub, because I'd been searching for dive bars for the whole.
It's not even on the map.
It's not even. This doesn't show up as a dive bar. So we find it, and we're walking and walking. We're like, okay, it's here.
Where the hell is it?
The map says we're here, and I see nothing. So finally, we ask a homeless guy, where is it? He goes, oh, it's down that road and there.
Literally
So-
a homeless guy walking home.
Yeah. So we look down the main road. It's not actually on Vine. It's down on Daniel Street, down a little ways, and there's this nondescript building with no signs, with nothing.
There's a door.
I'll send you a picture so you can put up.
It's crazy. It's
And-
like there's
and-
literally not a sign. It's nothing that makes it. It just looks like a door on the side of a building.
And I go, that's a dive bar. And we open the door and we go in.
And there's sediment coming out of the walls. There's like, I mean, literally, like the walls are like leaking.
Calcium,
like,
yeah.
Calcium, yeah.
And the seats are torn up.
like ripped up everywhere. You can't. There's not a straight angle on the seat because it's all ripped up and the
And it
foam's
was
sticking
dirty
out.
and it smelled a little off, musty.
And they had this really grungy, like, and I loved him. Really nice, Michael, the
Bartender was awesome.
but he looked like he was out of a tattoo parlor. Not a bad thing. Just that's the look.
But we walked in and sat down, and you looked around, and you're like, this is what you were talking about, Dad. This is the seats are torn up. It smells a little weird. It's dirty. I guess this is a dive bar.
I wasn't excited when I made it. I was like, fucking, I guess this is what you wanted. I very begrudgingly went with it. But it was a dive bar.
Wasn't it a fun experience, though?
It was. I really enjoyed it.
And we got to talk a bit about Michael.
It was
and
quiet.
Yeah, it was
which I loved.
quiet.
I really
We
like
could
that about
talk
dive
and
bars.
visit. There was locals there, obviously. We got to visit with Michael. You know, we talked about Star Trek Discovery and Picard coming out. We just had, that's what I love about a dive bar is it's no pretension. There's realness. There's authenticity.
Here's a question about a dive bar. I've been to I lived in Pullman, Washington, which the only thing to do there is go to a bar. And bars never work for me. Going out drinking doesn't work for me because it's loud and there's partying and there's music. And I want a thoughtful experience when I go get a drink.
Yeah,
I
Saturday
want to go
night.
have a conversation.
Saturday night in Cincinnati, we were all done. We were tired, and David graciously gave us a ride home from our room, and we just walked over to Covington, Kentucky from our hotel room and went to, I think it's Mainstrasse.
Yeah.
And we were just looking for a place to have just wanted just one beverage, and all the places we went were loud and noisy, and yeah, that's
party scene.
Yeah, that's a common bar experience.
I don't like the party scene in a
But
bar.
you don't find that in a dive bar often. Dive bars are often much more quieter, pleasant experience.
Quieter, darker. I want, a thoughtful experience. I go to a bar and have a drink to have a conversation.
Yep.
I don't go to get drunk. I don't go to have loud music and go crazy or dance. That's not me.
So now you know the beauty of a dive bar.
Absolutely. Dad, is there anything else on the list of stuff we want to talk about?
I think we covered our trip to Cincinnati and covered the things we wanted to talk about. I'm excited and a little trepidatious what you say we might cover next time when we record the show next week.
I don't even know if we're going to do it. I'm really scared. It's going to take, to me, the topic we'll talk about next takes a lot of work.
Well, I think I've been working on it, though. I think I can ask you the questions and help you do it in a way that's tasteful and still conveys the stuff you want to convey. So I'm excited about that.
Here's the best tease I can possibly give. It's a topic I have a deep pain about.
Yes,
and
a lot of heartache.
It's hard to talk about something you're deeply... For me, there was a long period of time where I couldn't talk about it without getting literally angry. And I knew that I couldn't talk about it because I just lost my shit. And I knew, it's not going to help anyone if I'm just emotional and ranting and angry when I talk about this topic. I got to be thoughtful. And so I haven't talked about it for a long time, and I think next weekend I'm finally in a good place, especially with your help. It's not it's not a message I can deliver by myself.
Yep.
It needs to be a conversation rather than me telling information. So it wouldn't work on Strong Opinion Sports. I think it's best suited to be a conversation on the Flawed Humans podcast.
Yep. Okay. And by the way, we didn't talk about this, but I'm going to throw it out there. If people have questions for you or for me or for us on the Flawed Human podcast, is it okay if they get a hold of us and let us know?
Send us questions. I'm happy to answer them, I guess. Yeah, sure.
Well, I'm not going to commit to answering them, but at least check them out. If good ones, I'll answer.
Yes.
But I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, my name is Zach Shomler. Thank you so very much for tuning in.
I'm Stephen Shomler. Delighted that we got to spend some time with you and hope you're having a fantastic day.
All right. Bum, bam, we are done.